Today, I decided to adopt a mantis. But as I opened the box and looked at it closely, I realized something was off. I was faced with a challenge that would change everything. Not every story begins the way we plan, and this mantis's story is one of those. I realized it was missing an arm, a crucial piece for survival. Without it, its ability to hunt and defend itself was severely compromised. But this detail didn't take away even a hint of beauty from this stunning dead leaf mantis, scientifically known as Deroplatys desiccata, a true master of camouflage in nature. I had the responsibility of feeding her myself if I wanted to see her thrive, as without her arm, she couldn't hunt on her own. So I offered her a mealworm, hoping to help her take her first step toward recovery. The mantis immediately accepted my offering, holding the mealworm as best as she could. She had lost an arm, but her predatory instinct remained intact. Watching her eat was like seeing someone enjoy a watermelon on a hot day. Every bite seemed like pure delight. Once her appetite was satisfied, I decided to offer her some water, but she refused. In the meantime, all I could do was wait for the terrarium I had ordered for her, which unfortunately had been delayed. So, I took an empty olive jar and decided to turn it into her temporary home. I carefully cleaned the inside and placed a layer of soil at the bottom. While it wasn't perfect, this improvised shelter would serve as her safe space while waiting for the final terrarium. It's essential to add branches and vertical structures to their habitat, as mantises typically live in a vertical world, climbing plants and branches. This not only provides them with security, but also creates an environment that mimics their natural way of living and moving. Finally, the moment came to invite her in, and she accepted without resistance, quickly settling into her new home. The Deroplatys desiccata is a fascinating species primarily found in countries like Malaysia. It is known for its calm demeanor, but also for its ability to adapt to different conditions, being an efficient predator that prefers ambush hunting. Unlike other mantises, its movements are slower and more deliberate, making it a truly unique specimen among mantises. As night fell, the glass jar took on an entirely different vibe. The shadows grew longer, the soft lights cast mysterious reflections, and the small space transformed into a corner filled with deep, intricate tones. The next day, the long-awaited terrarium finally arrived, and without wasting any time, I got to work building what would become her new and permanent home. I started by adding a fresh layer of substrate, carefully spreading it to create an even, natural-looking floor. Then, I placed small patches of moss, selecting them one by one to decorate the ground, making sure every corner had a fresh and inviting touch that resembled a jungle environment. Looking closely, the ground resembled a microscopic forest, filled with textures and vibrant colors. I was certain the mantis would love exploring every corner of this tiny world. Then came the most important, and without a doubt, the most challenging part, creating a vertical surface that would replicate her natural environment and provide her with the comfort and security she so desperately needed. With carefully placed branches, strategically distributed leaves, and a touch of fresh moss, the terrarium was finally ready to welcome the brave mantis, who was prepared to start a new chapter. At first, I felt a bit nervous placing her, worried she might not find her footing, but she quickly gripped firmly and, to my surprise, settled upside down, appearing calm and completely at ease perched on the branch. The mantis was still in its juvenile stage, about 25 days old. It hadn't fully developed all its color variations or its adult form, which, without a doubt, will be stunning to see in the future. I found it fascinating how some of the patterns in the shape of a dry, curled leaf were already starting to emerge on her body, a trait that would undoubtedly make her even more impressive as she matured. It was time to feed my mantis again, and for that, I chose a mosquito, which I had a hard time catching. However, when I offered it to her, the mantis examined it closely, gazing at it with a fixed, determined look, only to finally reject it without hesitation. Finally, the mosquito slipped out of the tongs, and in the blink of an eye, it vanished. I never saw it again. Then, I decided to change the food and offered her a mealworm, which I carefully held between the tongs. This time, the mantis didn't hesitate for a second. With astonishing speed, she grabbed it with her only functional leg, and in the blink of an eye, she began devouring it, as if she already knew this was the perfect food for her. Zooming in on her mouth while she fed, I could clearly see terror in person. Her jaws closed with astonishing precision. Despite hanging upside down and having lost an arm, a vital piece for this type of predator, the mantis displayed incredible strength. With just one arm, she held the mealworm with an ease that defied all odds, revealing the indomitable power within her, capable of overcoming any obstacle with the ferocity of an unstoppable warrior. Despite her tiny size, the mantis's presence filled the terrarium with life and energy, as if the entire space around her came to life on its own. Finally, the mantis had reduced the mealworm to nothing more than an empty shell. But even that shell wasn't wasted. She devoured it eagerly, making sure not a single fragment of the tasty treat was left behind. As she finished devouring the last piece of mealworm shell, I noticed her abdomen was noticeably more swollen. It had grown since I offered her the mealworm, and now, after finishing her feast, the increase was clear. It was an impressive display of the feeding ability of mantises, a skill to gulp down and process food so efficiently that it surpasses any human capacity. These mantises enjoy humidity, so I added a small container of water, allowing her to drink whenever she wished. It had been a stressful few days for the mantis, so I decided to let her rest in peace, knowing that soon we would see her again, stronger and perhaps even more impressive.